Hello class, good morning. Okay, so you're dash 2. Now, for today, we'll talk about Neisseria. After this, we'll have a quiz, and then we'll talk about Enterobacteriaceae, and then after that, another quiz, okay? So, get ready, ha? Medyo mahaba-habang araw natin ngayon. Okay, so let's start with Neisseria. So, for the Neisseria class, this is a group of microorganisms that is described to be gram-negative diplococci, right? So, bakit siya naging gram-negative? I mean, ano ang kanyang other characteristic pa? So besides being a gram-negative diplococci, most of the Neisseria are actually part of the upper respiratory tract flora. Karamihan sa kanila part of the flora. Except, of course, for our true pathogens, which are Neisseria gonorrhoeae, which you can get through sexual contact, and of course, Neisseria meningitidis, which you can get through respiratory droplet. So, dalawa lang dyan ang hindi part of the flora, which is the gonorrhea and also the meningitidis. Now, the rest of the Neisseria can be found normally on the upper respiratory tract, particularly on your nasopharynx. Okay? So, sa nasopharynx sila nakikita. They exist as gram-negative diplococci. Ibig sabihin noon, these are cocci in pairs that looks like a pair of kidneys or a pair of coffee bean. Okay? Yun ang kanilang description under the microscope. Now, another one is the Moraxelia. Now, for the Moraxelia, this is also part of the flora of your nasopharynx. Now, Moraxelia is not part of the Neisseria. However, class, this is traditionally being studied together with Neisseria. Kasi nga, kung saan merong Neisseria, andun din si Moraxelia. Another reason is that their morphology is the same. Moraxelia is also gram-negative diplococci. Okay? Kaya inaaral ng Moraxelia kasama ng Neisseria. So, general characteristic nila, they're all oxidase positive. So this is the family of the Neisseriaceae. You have here the Neisseria. You have the human pathogens, which are the gonorrhea and the meningitidis, together with the Neisseria waveri. And you have the non-pathogenic, which are again part of the flora of your nasopharynx. So let's first talk about gonorrhea. Ayan, ano ba klaseng alam niyo sa gonorrhea? So we all know that gonorrhea is sexually transmitted, di ba? You can get this through sexual contact, particularly from prostitutes. Okay? Bakit siya nanggaling sa mga prostitutes? Kasi class, ang gonorrhea, 50% of cases ng gonorrhea in women are asymptomatic. Meaning, hindi alam ng mga babae na meron pala silang gonorrhea. That's why they can transmit this through sexual contact. So, nanggaling sa babae, kinakalat niya sa mga lalaki. Okay? That's why tinawag siyang the clap from the French word clapor, meaning brothel. So, yung brothel, ito yung institution na may mga prostitute. Kasi nga, kumakalat siya among prostitutes tsaka sa mga customers nila. Okay? So, yan ang reason, that is part of the history ng gonorrhea. So, matagal na yung sakit na yan, and then ano kanyang characteristic? So, ang kanyang characteristic is that it is a pyogenic microorganism. When you say pyogenic, it is pus-forming, di ba? So, upon sexual contact, what will happen? Sa mga lalaki class, tandaan nyo sa mga lalaki, gonorrhea is always symptomatic. Only 10% of cases are asymptomatic sa mga lalaki. So, kapag lalaki ang tinamaan, sila yung nagkakaroon ng sintomas, sila ang nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na urethritis. When you say urethritis, ibig sabihin noon, yung daanan ng kanyang ihi, barado ng mga nana at bakterya. Kasi nga, pus-forming ang ating gonorrhea. It is pyogenic, pus-forming. So kapag nag-penetrate siya doon sa urethra, infecting the non-ciliated columnar or transitional epithelium of the genitals of the urethra, then doon na nga siya magpo-propagate, producing pus. Okay, may mga nana. Kaya bumabara yung labasan ng ihi. Okay? So that's why people, mga lalaki, actually babae rin minsan kapag may symptoms sila, people with gonorrhea, they experience painful urination. So masakit ang pag-ihi nila. That's why kapag umihi sila, patak-patak lang. Kaya nga sa Tagalog, ang tawag dito ay tulo. Kasi patulo-tulo lang yung kanilang ihi. Okay? Yan ang characteristic ng gonorrhea. Okay? So again, that happens both sa male and female. However, class, sa mga lalaki, lagi siyang symptomatic. Bakit lagi siyang symptomatic sa mga lalaki? Because of the structure of the genitals of the males. Closed system ang genitals sila, hindi regular ang exfoliation. Unlike sa mga babae, open ng kanilang genitals, so it regularly exfoliates, kaya yung number of microorganisms does not accumulate. That's why most of the time, women are asymptomatic. Okay? Now, so tinawag siyang flow of seed, the clap, kasi nga nanggaling siya sa mga prostitutes na babae. Okay? So, besides the urethritis na nakita sa mga lalaki, ano pa yung manifestation ng gonorrhea? Gonorrhea can also appear like this one. This is the condition known as ophthalmia neonatorum. So this happens if the baby is born from a mother with gonorrhea. Tapos pinanganak siya through normal delivery. Kasi class, yung bacteria daw is able to infect the eyes of the baby, causing this condition. Now, without treatment, what will happen to the baby? The baby can become blind. Pwede siyang mabulag because of the gonorrhea. Besides sa blindness, pwede rin siya magkaroon ng sepsis. Kasi nga, baby yan, newborn, di ba? Prone siya sa infection. Okay? So that's why kapag pinanganak from a mother with gonorrhea, ilalagyan ito agad ng erythromycin ointment yung kanyang mata to prevent blindness. And binibigyan din siya ng antibiotic to prevent sepsis. Okay? So yan na nangyayari, class. So again, ano yung mga area that can be affected with the gonorrhea? Sa babae, cervix, right? Sa baby, conjunctiva. Sa baby, pwede rin ang oropharynx, even the males. Sa mga lalaki, oropharynx, anorectal area. Yan, sa lalaki rin, and urethra of the males. Ito yung mga area na affected kapag meron kang gonorrhea. So meron kang mga rare complication ng gonorrhea. It can also cause arthritis, endocarditis, and sometimes meningitis. This is if the gonorrhea is not managed properly. Okay? So again, sabi ko nga kanina, sa mga lalaki, almost symptomatic yan. Being asymptomatic is very rare. Only 10% of cases are asymptomatic. So most of the time kung lalaki ka, meron ka talagang sintomas. So you're going to have urethritis characterized by the discharge, dysuria, painful urination. Ito yung common manifestation. Kaya nga class, kapag umihi ang mga lalaki, patulo-tulo lang. Kasi nga, barado yung kanilang urethra. That is the acute urethritis. Okay? So sometimes, kapag di pa rin nagamot, the infection can go up to your prostate and epididymis. If this happens, ano na ang specimen na kukunin natin? You have to collect the prostate secretions. Okay? So sa mga lalaki, since acute urethritis yan, how do we collect the specimen? What we do is, we insert the flexible swab. We insert a flexible swab doon sa urethra ng mga lalaki. When it stay there, and then we pull it out. Kapag na-pull mo na yon, lalabas na yung discharge. Kapag may discharge na like that on the picture, pwede mo na siyang iswab. Okay? Minsan naman class, the discharge are really purulent na pwede mo siyang sahurin from a vial. Pwede rin class. Ganun ang mga ways on how to collect it. Okay? Pwede rin class yung urine. However class, kapag urine kasing specimen mo, hindi conventional method ang gagawin mo. You have to perform PCR testing kapag urine. Okay? Again, kapag ang infection umakit na sa kayong prostate or epididymis, ang specimen to be collected will be the prostate secretions. So again, class, ang nangyayari sa mga lalaki. Now, going to the females naman, ang gonorrhea ng mga babae nasa endocervix nila. So ano yung specimen to be collected? You're going to collect endocervical swab. Endocervical swab, okay? Now, sometimes, the urethra can also be infected. Sometimes, yung urethra ng babae nagkakaroon ng infection causing dysuria. Okay? And what you call cervical discharge and lower abdominal pain. So, masakit din siya. Minsan, okay? But most of the time, class, asymptomatic nga yan. Kaya nandun lang siya sa endocervical canal, so nag-swab lang tayo. Pero kung merong discharge ng babae, we collect the discharge. Okay? We collect the cervical discharge. Okay? And also, for kapag may dysuria, we can also collect the urine. But again, kapag urine, the method is PCR. Okay? So again, 50% of cases in women are asymptomatic. That can lead to complication. Since asymptomatic na siya, hindi naman siya nagagamutan, sometimes the infection, it can go up sa reproductive system ng babae. It can go up, it can travel to the fallopian tubes, causing a condition known as Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome. So sa Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome, the women can experience ectopic pregnancy, perihepatitis that can lead to sterility. So kapag Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome na, anong specimen na kukunin natin? We collect the fallopian tube biopsy. Again, kapag sa babae at nag-complication na, we collect the fallopian tube biopsy. Yan ang kinukuha natin, okay? Pero kapag wala pang komplikasyon sa babae, ang kinukuha natin na specimen is the endocervical swab or the discharge. Pero kapag complication na ng babae, ang kinokollect natin is the fallopian tube biopsy. Sa lalaki, kapag complication na, ang kinokollect ay prostate discharge. Okay? So those are the specimens to be collected. Now, take note that gonorrhea is being inhibited by the SPS. That's why isolating this from a blood culture bottle is not that productive. So what you want to do is that you may add gelatin to the blood culture medium to utilize the effect of the SPS. However, class, since mahirap nga siya pa-recover from blood culture, what we do is just to collect the discharge. Okay? Kinokollect natin class yung discharge, that's how we perform the diagnosis ng pasyente for gonorrhea. Okay? So that's gonorrhea. So let's go to meningitis. Ano ba class ng meningitis na yan? Actually, class, this infection is this is a very virulent type of infection. Kasi nga, you can get this through respiratory droplets. Okay? So upon exposure, it is recommended na dapat magkaroon ka ng prophylaxis dito. Pag na-expose ka sa Neisseria meningitis, dapat mag-take ka ng prophylaxis kasi nga, this is a very high-risk microorganism. Okay? Now, what will happen to you? Take note that this bacteria affects both adult and children. Okay? So, kahit healthy adult ka, pwede ka magkaroon ng meningitis. Okay? If ever you're able to become infected with the most common serotype, which is the serotype ABCY-W135, that's the time that you may get the infection. Okay? So you have two strain. Meron kang dalawang type of the meningitis. Meron kang tinatawag na capsulated, meron kang tinatawag na non-capsulated. Kapag napunta sa'yo yung bacteria, the meningitis na walang capsule, okay, it's okay. Kasi nga since wala yung capsule, pagdating sa nose mo, it will be destroyed by your IgA antibody. So tandaan mo class, lahat tayo sa ilong natin, meron tayong IgA antibody dyan. Okay? Once sa singhot mo, Neisseria meningitis na walang capsule, ang strain na yan, kaya yung patayin ni IgA antibody. So walang mangyayaring masama sa'yo. Pero kapag ang nasinghot mo sa ilong mo is the capsulated strain. The capsulated strain of the meningitis, that's the time that you are at risk to having meningitis. Yun yung delikado. Okay? So again, ayan. So you can have a condition known as meningitis or meningococcemia, also pneumonia, purulent arthritis, and endophthalmitis. These are the clinical presentation of this bacteria. Now, sa children class, mas delikado siya. Kasi pwede siyang magkaroon ng tinatawag na Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome, which can be very fatal. The child can die within 12 to 48 hours from the time na nagkaroon siya ng sintomas. So, walang bata na nabubuhay from Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. So, ano yung sign na meron siyang Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome? Una-muna, meron siyang mga petechial rashes on the skin. Kapag petechial, ito yung mga red rashes on the skin. After that, magkakaroon siya ng purpura or bruises on the skin. After that, yung kanyang adrenal gland, this one, will have bleeding. Meron siyang hemorrhage sa adrenal gland. That can lead to that within 12 to 48 hours. So that is the Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. So delikado siya sa mga baby, di ba? So once you're able to inhale the bacteria from a droplet, okay, it will now go to your nasopharyngeal mucosa. Sa ilong mo siya. Okay? It will colonize there. Okay? Now, kapag ang napunta sa'yo, yung merong capsule na meningitis, again, it can go to your bloodstream, going up to your CNS, giving you meningitis and sepsis for both. Okay? Kaya nga meron kang tinatawag na meningococcemia. Kapag meningococcemia, that is sepsis sa blood, di ba? Kapag naman meningitis, sa brain na yung affected. Okay? So, again, dalawa yan. Fulminant meningococcemia or meningitis. Okay? And then sa bata, magkakaroon ka ng Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. Yan ang characteristic ng Neisseria meningitis. Ang mga Moraxella naman class, ang Moraxella kasi class, part yan ng flora ng ating nasopharynx. Lahat tayo, meron tayong Moraxella cataralis ngayon sa ating mga ilong. Okay? So kaya na siya nagiging problema. Nagiging problema ang Moraxella cataralis if they go to your lungs. Kapag napunta niya sa lungs mo, magkakaroon ka ng pneumonia. If it goes to your ears, magkakaroon ka ng otitis media or what you call the luga, diba? Luga ear infection, okay? So, kapag ang presentation sa'yo is luga, otitis media nga, anong specimen ang ating pwedeng kunin? Of course, we collect the ear discharge, diba? Yung luga mismo sa ears, yan ang kukunin mo. But if the presentation is pneumonia, you collect respiratory specimen tulad ng sputum, bronchoalveolar lavages, tracheal aspirate, etc. Okay? Yun ang mga pwede natin i-collect kapag Moraxella catarrhalis tayo. Okay? So again, besides that, it can also lead to complications. Anong complications niya? Pwedeng endocarditis, meningitis, and bacterial tracheitis. Those are the complications of your Moraxella catarrhalis. Now, what makes Moraxella different from Neisseria? Again, ang mga Neisseria, they are what you call, they are difficult to culture. Okay? They are difficult to culture, ang mga Neisseria. However, ang Moraxella, they can grow on primary plating media such as the blood agar. Yan ang kanyang number one difference sa mga Neisseria. And then if you take a look at the colony, meron siyang distinct appearance. It looks like a wagon wheel, also described as hockey puck. When you say hockey puck, ibig sabihin noon, kapag tinulak mo yung colony niya, it will remain intact on top of the agar. It's like you are playing hockey, na nag-glide lang siya on top of the agar, hindi siya nasisira if you push that using the inoculating loop. Okay? Napagatin naman sa gram stain, same lang sa ng presentation ni Neisseria. They're all both gram-negative diplooxide as you can see here on the picture. Now, pagdating naman sa treatment, madali lang gamutin ang Moraxella. Okay? So, just give the patient amoxiclav. Gagaling na yung pasyente mo kahit amoxiclav lang. Ganun lang siya kadali. Okay? So, that is Moraxella. Now, ito, yung mga ibang Neisseria, these are the other Neisseria that can be found sa ears natin, sa nose natin, sa nasopharynx natin. Okay? It is all part of the flora. Except for the Neisseria waveri. Ang Neisseria waveri class, nakikita na ito sa mga aso. Kung tao ka, wala ka Neisseria waveri. Kung aso ka, meron kang waveri. So, kailan ka nagkakaroon ng Neisseria waveri infection? Kapag ikaw ay nakagat ng aso. Again, magkakaroon ka lang ng Neisseria waveri kung ikaw ay nakagat ng aso. Kung tao ka, wala ka dapat Neisseria waveri. Okay? So, ano yung mga different characteristic ng mga Neisseria? For this one, ang Cineraria class, significant lang siya kasi commonly misdiagnosed or misidentified as gonorrhea. Okay? So, paano mo siya i-differentiate? You may perform colistin testing. Okay? If it is susceptible sa colistin, then you have Cineraria. If it is resistant sa colistin, then you have gonorrhea. Okay? For the lactamina naman class, common siya sa children, sa mga bata. But once now 2 years of age na yung bata, nawawala na rin yung lactamina sa kanilang mga nose. Again, nasa nose natin ng mga bata yan, ha? It is a commensal microorganism. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya harmful, di ba? The lactamina. Again, once 2 years of age pataas ka na, nawawala na siya sa nose ng mga bata. For the mucosa, kaya tinawag na mucosa kasi nga mucoid ng kanyang colony. Again, nakikita siya sa nasopharynx and children and young adults. So, hindi siya ganun ka-significant. For the Zika naman, ang kanyang characteristic is the colony. It has a dry wrinkled colony that looks like a breadcrumb. For the subflava, it has a colony that is color yellow like this one. For the elongata, it is Cocobacilli. So medyo rod shape siya. Ito lang nag-iisa na Neisseria na rod shape, the Neisseria elongata. And again, for the waveri, nakikita ito sa mga dogs. Okay? May kita mo lang siya sa tao kapag kinagat siya ng aso. So that is the other Neisseria. Mga commensal yan, ha? Ibig sabihin, nakikita siya sa ating nose. Hindi siya dapat pathogen. Okay? So next is the lab diagnosis. So again, paano mag-collect ng sample for Neisseria? So, again, depende siya sa clinical presentation. So unahin muna natin yung gonorrhea, di ba? Kapag gonorrhea, sinabi ko naman na kayo na right, it's either the discharge or the endocervical swab sa mga babae, right? Okay. So, the type of swab being used is the Dacron or the Rayon swab. Kasi nga, kapag cotton tip swab, toxic siya sa Neisseria. Kung wala kang cotton tips, kung wala ka talagang ibang swab at no choice na, gagamit ka na ng cotton tip swab if you're going to insert that in a mist charcoal medium. Okay? Kasi nga class, yung Ames charcoal medium, magiging neutralizer naman siya. Okay, so ito lang kasi yung instance na pwede kang gamit ng cotton swab kung gagamit ka rin ng Ames charcoal transport medium. Pero class, kapag hindi ka gagamit nito, at yung normal na collection lang, ang kailangan gawin mo is the Dacron or the real tip swab. Anong ginagawa sa swab na yan? Once na-collect mo na yung discharge from the patient na may gonorrhea, yung discharge class, ipapahid mo dito sa GEMBEC system. Itong GEMBEC system na yung class, this is the transport medium for gonorrhea. Okay? Meron siyang chocolate agar with CO2 generating tablet. Kasi class, ang gonorrhea for culture, madaling mamatay yan eh. Let's say, nag-collect ka sa 4th floor sa room ng pasyente. Ang laboratory mo nasa 2nd floor. Pagka-collect mo sa 4th floor, naglakad ka pupunta sa 2nd floor sa lab mo at wala kang GEMBEC system, yung Neisseria dyan sa swab mo, patayin na siya. Ganun siya kadaling mamatay, class. Kaya upon collection, dapat ilagay mo yung nana dito sa GEMBEC system. Okay, lalagay mo dyan yung nana agad-agad para buhay si Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Ganun class ka-difficult ma-isolate si Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Kaya nga class, ngayon, pagdating sa diagnosis ng gonorrhea, it is very rare na mag-request na ng culture for gonorrhea. Ano lang ba yung ginagawang test natin for diagnosis ng gonorrhea? The doctors only request for gram stain. Gram stain lang po sa pinapa-request nila. Magpapadala sa ng swab na may discharge, tapos ang nakalagay sa request, gram stain. And then kapag ikaw naman na medtech, nag-report ka ng gram-negative diplococci, intracellular and extracellular, ibig sabihin nun, meron nga siyang gonorrhea. Again, we don't report gonorrhea sa gram stain. Ang nire-report natin sa gram stain is just the gram staining reaction plus the morphology. So, ang reporting natin sa gram stain is positive for gram-negative diplococci, intracellular and extracellular elements. Yun ang nilalagay natin sa gram stain. Tapos si doktor, i-correlate niya na yan sa sintomas ng pasyente. Definitely, pag nakita niya na yung pasyente niya mayroong discharge, mayroong painful urination, yung classic symptoms ng gonorrhea, then yun na yun, di ba? The doctor will now conclude na pero ng gonorrhea yung pasyente. Ibigyan niya na ng antibiotics sa pasyente. So very rare, nag-request tayo ng culture. Okay? Just in case nga na kailangan mag-culture, ito yung protocol. Kailangan yung discharge, ilagay mo agad dito sa GEMBEC system para buhay ang mga gonorrhea. Then transport this immediately into the lab and then make sure na within at least 6 hours, mai-transfer mo na siya sa mga selected media niya, which is the Thayer-Martin medium. Yan ang protocol kapag nag-culture ka ng gonorrhea. Okay? So, again, kailangan niya ng 3 to 5% CO2 incubated at 37 degrees Celsius. Again, for the blood culture, hindi nga reliable, di ba? Kasi nga, it can be inhibited by SPS, right? So again, we don't rely on that anymore, okay? Ayun. So this is a transfer medium, GEMBEC system, this one. Okay. So paano naman kapag Neisseria meningitis ang hinahanap mo? For the meningitis naman class, the best specimen is of course the CSF, this one. Cerebrospinal fluid. Possible din ng blood, nasopharyngeal swab, aspirate, joint fluids, sputum, but again, CSF pa rin. Kasi nga, we are diagnosing for meningitis. And what are the signs na meron nga meningitis yung pasyente? So upon collection ng CSF, una mo nang gagawin is, you have to centrifuge the CSF. Centrifuge it. Ang speed dapat is only 1,500. Dapat ang speed, okay? Bakit 1,500 lang? Kasi nga, class, kapag sobrang bilis, the microorganism can die, can break. So dapat slow speed lang, 1,500 RPM lang. Okay? And then after the centrifugation, you get the sediment and then you stain it using the gram stain. This is what it will look like sa gram stain. As you can see, class, may kita mo may mga white blood cells siya. The white blood cell that is seen here are the neutrophils. Okay, neutrophils siya mga yan. Now kapag nakita mo sa CSF, maraming neutrophil, what does it mean? Ibig sabihin, meron siyang bacterial infection. Bacterial infection ang meron siya. Ngayon, since nakakita ka rin ng mga bacteria, ang tawag na dyan is bacterial meningitis. So, meron na siyang bacterial meningitis class. Okay? So, ano yung mga bacteria na nakita mo dito? You can describe this as gram-negative diplococci, intracellular, kasi nasa loob siya ng cells, and extracellular, kasi nasa labas ng cells. If you report purulence, okay, una-una yung purulence mo na, di ba, nire-report natin. The purulence is heavy or moderate, okay? And then, you saw gram-negative diplococci, intracellular and extracellular. Then yung doctor, pwede na siya mag-conclude na it can be Neisseria meningitidis. However, class, sometimes the doctor needs further testing. Are you going to proceed to culture? Hindi, class. Bakit, class? Kasi culture for Neisseria will take about 7 to 2 hours of incubation. Napakatagal na sa incubation niya. Tapos mag-biochemical test ka pa, another 72 hours pa. Eh kapag meningitis class, nagmamadali tayo. Kasi utak yan di ba? Baka after ng culture mo, patay na yung pasyente o baka hindi umabot yung resulta ng culture, di ba? Kaya nga class, what we do is we perform serological testing na lang, such as the FADIPAC. Okay? So yung FADIPAC, ito siya. Ito yung FADIPAC class. Ang tawag dyan is particle agglutination methods. So what we do is, we get the sediment ng CSF, nilalagay natin dito sa slide. And then yung slide na yan, pinapatakan natin ng mga different reagents. Kapag nag-react siya sa mga reagents na yan, ibig sabihin meron nga siyang meningitis, meron siyang Neisseria meningitidis. Ito class yung ginagawang easy method, faster method to confirm na meron nga siyang Neisseria meningitidis. Kasi nga class, ang resulta nito, within 15 to 30 minutes, may resulta ka na ng FADIPAC. Ganun siya kabilis, class. Okay? Ganun kabilis. It depends kasi sa mga agglutination method. Yung iba within instant, may resulta na. Yung iba naman, 15 minutes ka pa maghihintay bago mag-react. Yung iba, 30 minutes maghihintay bago mag-react. Basta nag-react na, nagkaroon siya ng mga agglutination. Or when you say agglutination, ito yung mga parang buha-buhangin na nakikita mo dyan on top, di ba? Ibig sabihin, meron nga talagang Neisseria meningitidis. Okay? So that's the time na pwede na magkukulong yung doktor na meron nga siyang meningitis. Then mag-start na lang treatment strategy. So gagamutin na siya. Okay? So again, culture, hindi siya talaga practical kapag if you are going to manage patient with meningitis. Kasi nga, napakatagal ng result ng culture. Okay? So that is for the Neisseria meningitidis. For the Moraxella naman, again, since ang Moraxella, sabi ko nga kanina, dalawang presentation niya. Pwedeng sa luga, di ba, ear infection, or otitis media, or pneumonia, right? Kapag ang presentation mo pneumonia, malamang, you collect yung mga respiratory specimen, tulad ng sputum, sinus aspirate, nasopharynx, or bronchial aspirate. Kapag ang presentation mo, otitis media, definitely, you collect the middle ear effusion. Okay? Yun ang kinukuha mo, yung luga na lumalabas sa kanyang ears. And then, again, unique siya, di ba? Kasi nga, it can grow sa blood agar. Kapag kinrow mo siya sa blood agar, the colony looks like a wagon wheel. Kapag wagon wheel, ibig sabihin noon, colony siya, na yung loob niya, mayroong mga striations like this one, the wagon wheel. And then, hockey puck, kasi kapag tinulak mo siya, it can move on top of the agar. It will remain intact. Okay? Kaya tinawag na hockey puck colony. Okay? For the Moraxella cataralis, besides the colony appearance and the gram stain, you may also perform DNA test and butyrate esterase test. So to separate the Moraxella from the Neisseria, you may check for the growth in the blood agar plus DNA positive and butyrate esterase positive. So this is what the DNA test looks like. So yung DNA test yan. So kapag nag-culture ka sa DNase agar, makikita mo, nagkakaroon siya ng lysis sa gilid niya. Kasi nga, it is able to lyse DNA. Kaya niyang i-lyse yung DNA ng bacteria here on the culture medium. Kaya tinawag na DNase positive. So this is the Moraxella. Okay? Now, asan na ba ako? Okay. Going back. Ayan, okay. Ayun. So this one, nasabi ko na kanina, di ba? Kapag nagko-collect ka, dapat nakaliki sa GEMPEG system. Okay. For the volume ng CSF, at least 1 ml is needed. And then again, you centrifuge sa low speed. Low speed yan. 1,500 RPM lang dapat. Ha? For 15 minutes. Kasi nga, kapag sobrang bilis, masisira yung mga cells. Okay? Now, any specimen or culture in which meningitis is considered should be handled in a biological safety cabinet to prevent laboratory-acquired infections. Kasi nga, you can get this through respiratory droplets. So, delikado ang meningitis. Di ba? Pwede mo siya masinghot, causing infection. Kaya whenever you handle CSF fluids, always be careful. Wear your PPE. Okay? Yan. So, direct detection method. So, again, for the gram stain, so sinabi ko na kayo na, right? it looks like a coffee bean, a pair of kidneys or coffee bean. So this is what it looks like kapag meron kang gonorrhea. Okay. So kapag na-receive mo na class yung urethral discharge, anong gagawin mo? Perform the Gram stain. Okay? So sa Gram stain niya, makikita mo, purulent, many ang reading mo sa discharge. So makikita mo purulent discharge siya. The purulence is many. Okay? Many ang purulence niya kasi nga punong-puno na ng white blood cell yan. Plus, the bacteria you can see here, it is inside and outside the cell. Yung mga nasa loob, this is intracellular. Intracellular. Gram-negative diplococci. Okay? Yung iba, nasa labas, extracellular gram-negative diplococci. But for this picture, wala atang extracellular dito. Ito, puro siya intracellular. This is intracellular gram-negative diplococci. Okay, this one. Intracellular gram-negative diplococci. Okay? Yun. So, just report it as is. Then yun na, pwede na siyang ma-diagnose as positive for gonorrhea. Ganun na plus kadali. Okay? Yun. So, pharyngeal specimen, hindi siya good to collect kasi nga, hindi siya specific for gonorrhea, di ba? Possible na ibang commensal Neisseria yan. Okay? Kaya, hindi good kapag pharyngeal specimen. So, these are the culture methods. Ano yung mga culture media na ginagamit? So again, pwede siyang tumubo sa chocolate agar. Pwede naman class. Kaso nga lang class, ang chocolate agar kasi tumutubo din dyan yung ibang bacteria. So if you collect, let's say na-collect ka ng urethral discharge, di ba? Nanggaling niya sa urethra. Probably, may tutubo din dyan na E. coli. May tutubo din dyan na Staphylococcus, di ba? So, to recover using the chocolate agar will be very difficult. Because take note that gonorrhea is fastidious and slow grower. Matagal to tumubo class. It will grow about kailangan niya ng 72 hours of incubation pa, di ba? That's why sometimes, kung gagamit ka ng chocolate agar, magkakaroon ka ng overgrowth ng contaminants instead of isolating the Neisseria gonorrhoeae. That's why we have to use selective medium. At ang pinaka-best sa kanya is, of course, the Thayer-Martin medium. Okay? So, ano naman ng Thayer-Martin? Meron siyang isovitalix, which is the vitamins needed by the bacteria, plus antibiotic that can inhibit yung mga contaminant. So, meron siyang colistin that can inhibit your E. coli, nystatin that can inhibit the candida, and vancomycin that can inhibit the staphylococcus. Ito yung mga common na contaminant kapag nag-collect ka ng urethral discharge. Okay? That's why you use the Thayer-Martin medium. Itong pinaka-best sa pag-isolate ng gonorrhea. Ngayong class, sometimes if the patient has UTI caused by the proteus, you may add trimethoprim as the antibiotic doon sa culture media. Ang tawag na doon is modified Thayer-Martin medium. So besides the Thayer-Martin medium, meron tayong mga iba pa na selective medium din. Alternative lang ito sa Thayer-Martin. So you may use Martin Lewis, G-Select agar, and the NYC medium. But again, ang pinaka-best pa rin natin is of course the Thayer-Martin medium. Okay? Now, again, for the incubation, kailangan meron siyang CO2. Besides that, napaka-arte ng Neisseria. Ang gusto niya, high humidity ang environment. So, ang ginagawa natin dyan, sa kanyang incubator, naglalagay tayo ng Petri dish na merong moist or damp na gauze. So, yung gasa na sterile, nilalagyan natin ng sterile NSS, nilalagyan natin sa Petri dish, then pinapasok natin sa incubator. Now, that moist will now serve as the source of humidity. So, ganun class kaarte si Neisseria. Gusto niya pa humid ang kanyang environment, di ba? Kaya nga, hindi nga practical ang culture para sa kanya. Okay? Kaya nga ngayong class sa diagnosis, more on, ano na tayo kapag meningitis, FADIVAC, agglutination testing. Kapag naman gonorrhea, pwede na yung Gram stain and then i-confirm mo siya using the colorimetric assay like this one. For the colorimetric assay class, ang specimen mo dito, pwede yung discharge mismo or pwede rin yung colony ng Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Okay? That is the gonogen test 2. Yung iba naman, gono-check. Ito yung mga rapid testing ng gonorrhea that can give you result within 15 to 30 minutes lang. Sa colorimetric assay class, kakaroon ka ng mga color reaction na specific lang for gonorrhea. Okay? Yan ang ginagamit natin ngayon sa diagnosis ng Neisseria. We don't rely more on culture na. Okay? So, kung mag-culture ka, anong kanyang characteristic? So, kapag mga Neisseria, most of them are grayish to white translucent colony. But for the gonorrhea, they have shiny colonies. For the meningitis, yung iba moist, yung iba mucoid. Okay? for the Neisseria meningitidis. Yan ang kanilang colony morphology. So these are the gonorrhea growing from Thayer-Martin medium. This is the Neisseria meningitidis. Ito yung mga mucoid strain of the Neisseria meningitidis. This is the Moraxelia. This is the Lactamina. This is the Cinerea. This is the Zika. This is the Sulflava. Okay. Now for the molecular testing, again, for the molecular testing class, ginagamit natin ang molecular testing kapag ang specimen natin is urine. Mas preferred siya kasi nga sa urine maraming contaminant, di ba? So kapag urine ng specimen, mas preferred natin ang nucleic acid amplification testing for gonorrhea. Kasi nga, it is more specific and sensitive. Okay? That can be used sa urine specimen. Okay? Now, besides that, kapag naman sa Neisseria meningitidis naman at molecular ang gagamitin mo, marami namang methods to do that. However, sa molecular method, we detect the specific gene ng mga meningitidis, which is the CTRA gene, specific yan for Neisseria meningitidis, and of course, the SOD1 gene. Okay? So this is for diagnosis ng Neisseria meningitidis sa CSF, molecular methods. Now, pagdating ng mga klase conventional methods, ayun nga, kapag conventional kasi, matagal pa yung resulta. Tulad yan, the conventional method is known as the CTA testing. Kapag CTA class, yung resulta kasi dyan, 7 to 2 hours pa. Diba? So matagal talaga kapag culture at biochemical testing. Paano ba yung CTA na yan? This is what the CTA looks like. So ang principle niya is carbohydrate utilization test. The base is, ang kanyang base is this one, cysteine trypticase soy agar or CTA. So this is the CTA base, ito siya. At meron siyang laman na tig 1% ng carbohydrate. So ito, meron siyang 1% na sucrose, 1% na lactose, 1% ng glucose, and 1% ng maltose. Ngayong class, if the bacteria is able to utilize the carbohydrate, it will have change in color. That's why, as you can see here, naging yellow siya. Kapag naging yellow, ibig sabihin nun, it is able to utilize the carbohydrate on that culture medium. Okay? Tulad niyan, it is maltose positive and glucose positive. However, it is negative for lactose and negative for sucrose. So what is the result? You're going to refer to this table. So this table, nakikita mo kung ano yung reaction ng kanyang carbohydrate fermentation testing. So on our example, na ang positive mo is the glucose and the maltose, ano kaya siyang bacteria? So over here, you have glucose positive, maltose positive. The rest are negative. So the answer is Neisseria meningitidis. Okay? Now, however, if the lactose is also positive, then the answer is Lactamina. Okay? And if the sucrose is positive, then the answer is Zika. But if only the glucose is positive, the rest is negative, the answer is gonorrhea. Okay? So that's how you identify the different pathogenic na Neisseria. Now, kapag naman Moraxelia, negative siya sa mga carbohydrate testing. Negative sa mga carbohydrate test ang mga Moraxelia natin. Okay? Yun. So that is the CTA testing. So meron tayong modification ng CTA test that can give you at least within 4 hours of incubation lang, which is the modification na ang ginamit natin is low peptone substrate instead of the CTA. Okay? So ganun din siya. Meron ka low peptone substrate na merong carbohydrate. And then incubate for 4 hours. Kapag within 4 hours nag-react na, pwede ka na mag-report ng result. Okay? For the Moraxelia, again, it grows in blood agar at 22 degrees Celsius. It is also DNase positive. Yan ang characteristic ni Moraxelia cataralis. Okay? And also, butyrate esterase positive. Okay? And then, for the enzymes, negative ang cataralis natin sa mga enzymes na aminopeptidase. Okay? So, those are the other methods ng pag-identify. Now, for the oxidase test, again, lahat ng mga discuss natin ngayon, there are oxidase positive. Okay? So, how to perform oxidase test? So, kailangan mo lang ng field oxidase disc, like this one, na meron siyang oxidase reagent. And then, kukuha ka ng class ng colony, ipapahid mo lang dito sa disc natin. And then, after that, makikita mo yung purple color within 10 seconds. Or, pwede rin na ipatak mo yung oxidase reagent dito and then look for the purple color. Kapag nag-purple, positive na siya for oxidase test. Okay? Yun. So, for the serotyping, ayan. For the serotyping naman class, we only perform serotyping for epidemiology purposes. We don't do the serotyping for diagnosis. But again, according sa epidemiology study, ang pinaka-common serotype that causes the infection is of course your ABCY W135. Okay? Ito yung serotype na pinaka-common that causes infection. Okay? Pagdating sa Neisseria meningitis. Again, do not forget the serotype ABCY W135, the serotype that commonly causes the meningitis infection from Neisseria meningitis. Now, for the treatment, ano ang kanyang treatment strategy? For the moraxella, just give the patient mga fluoroquinolone and trimethoprim. For the gonorrhea, ceftriaxone, azithromycin. For meningitis, ceftriaxone, chloramphenicol, cefotaxime. And then for the other Neisseria, you may give penicillin and other beta-lactams. Okay? Again, kapag ophthalmia neonatorum, hindi na natin binibigyan ng silver nitrate. Ang binibigyan natin is the 0.5% erythromycin ointment. This is to prevent blindness. Okay? Yun. Meron bang vaccine? Yes, meron vaccine. The meningococcal conjugate vaccine. So that is just the lesson for the first part. Do you have questions, class, about Neisseria? May tanong po ba? Kasi I'll give you time to review because we have a quiz. Okay. So sa ngayon, mag-review muna kayo. Balik kayo ng 1:30 p.m. for the quiz. Okay? So sa ngayon class, mag-review, mag-lunch break muna, and then by 1:30, balik kayo for the quiz. After the quiz, mag-discuss naman ako ng Enterobacteriaceae. Okay? Okay class. So kung walang question, you may now leave the GMeet